So, welcome to everyone who's joined. It's a pleasure to welcome all of you. There's something so special for us about stepping outside of our separate sense of self and just opening our heart and connecting to the world outside us through the people, through all of us together here, through the natural world. One of the Buddhist teachers and monks, Ajahn Chah, was asked, "What is dharma?" And he said, "The dharma is the heart." And in Pali language, there's a word called chitta, which is actually a compound word that means heart mind. So they can't be separated. And if we look at the philosophies, the wisdom traditions everywhere, the perennial philosophy everywhere, the thing is that ideals of care and respectful society and treating the natural world and one another in a healthy and kind way, I mean, these are part of the philosophy everywhere. And the beautiful thing is that there are practices, there are trainings that we can undertake that nourish and develop these capacities and bring them alive in us. And when we look at what brings fulfillment in our lives, what brings joy and care, it's the very opening of these capacities. So let's just begin with a very short practice. So let yourself settle just where you are, seated and comfortable for this minute or two. And let your eyes close gently. And come into the present moment connection here with your body and heart and mind. Let things quiet. All the busyness, let it drain out, so that an easy breath can move through your body. And in the quiet, ask your own heart, what is it that matters most for you at this time? What does the heart know? What does the heart need? And just let yourself listen. And you may gently open your eyes. And thank you for the stillness. There's a story in the archetypal history of the Buddha as he was seeking enlightenment and struggling and fasting and doing all kinds of ascetic practices that got him nowhere, just skinnier and more wary of fighting against himself. So one day he just sat against a tree silently, and all of a sudden a memory arose in him. one of the most important insights that was actually part of the opening of enlightenment for him. He remembered being in his father's garden under a rose apple tree, watching the festivities of the spring plowing festival. The beginning of planting of seeds and the plowing of the fields. And as he did, a huge contentment came over him. And as he closed his eyes, he felt this innate joy as a child, this wonder and well being. And his mind became silent and absorbed in joy and peace and well being. And the Buddha remembered this. And as the story goes, it says that then the Buddha thought, I've been doing the wrong thing. I've been fighting against myself. I forgot that joy and well-being and peace and love is in me already. It is my birthright. And this was the realization of what he later, shortly in the next step of his enlightenment, called the middle path. To let go of fighting against yourself and against the world on one side, and let go of grasping on the other, clinging and grasping, but to be present with that deep stillness and innocence and presence of a child. It is said in the mythology that after Buddha's enlightenment, he shifted away some paces from that great Bodhi tree, and for 7 days he contemplated the tree with gratitude, just enjoying the fact that he was free now and awake, and the tree had held him and cared for him, and how joyful his heart was. And after that, he got up, and for 45 years, he wandered the dusty roads of India, traveling from city to city, village to village, offering the teachings of well-being and freedom of heart and joy wherever he went. And this is how it happens. We find joy, and then we find ourselves opening for the next 45 years or more. Or we can look at Rumi. There's Rumi, the 13th century Persian poet, who wandered around. His poems called the Ocean of Poetry, 100,000 poems. He wandered around in joy, like the Buddha, like all great teachers, spreading it all the way from Afghanistan to Turkey and whole across the Middle East, dancing, joyful, spirit, profound peace. Or Guru Nanak, he wandered from place to place. He traveled extensively through India, and then he went to Sri Lanka, to Myanmar, to Mecca, Medina, the Deccan, Turkey, Arabia, Baghdad, on foot, Kabul, Kandahar, Siam, just dispelling the clouds of ignorance and teaching people to live truthfully with love and service for fellow beings. So now this brings me to the third aspect of true love, mudita. It's a Sanskrit word which means joy. Joy and happiness born from letting go of all the tantalizing, sparkly, flashy things we have. And we know that those things don't make us feel enough. They make us just feel thirsty and wanting for more. But the simple things that we have already. One day we're going to wish to have these teeth that we have right now. One day we are going to wish to be able to walk and dance and jump like we are able to do today. to have the heart that is in good condition that we have today, the vitality, the brightness that we have today. And yet, completely unaware, we are throwing all that away to just stay in the dark, to get sucked in with the drama. The dramas that we create in our own way of thinking, own way of speaking, in our own way of behaving. And somebody said dramas are traumas. So we bring traumas to our lives and then we wonder why we are not getting anywhere in our life. Why is our life so bleak? So remember always that you are enough. Many small things can bring joy. Just coming back to the present moment. We can nourish our joy with the beauty around us. We can nourish our joy with the presence of our loved ones around us. We feel the gratitude and the joy of their presence in our lives. And the joy that is an immeasurable mind is the joy that is filled with peace and contentment. So it's not the joy that has excitement. It is this peace and contentment. And we feel this joy for ourselves and for others. It is also the joy when someone we love is happy. When someone we love maybe went through a difficult time and then is happy. We feel this joy for them. We say, I'm so happy for you. That kind of joy. Where we rejoice in the well-being of others. That kind of joy. And in our daily life, we'll see there are many opportunities than we think to have joy and to rejoice in the happiness of others. Don't we? And the last aspect of true love, as per the teaching of the 4 immeasurable minds by Lord Buddha, is upeksha. Upeksha, it means inclusiveness. It means we love everyone equally. The ones we find easy to love and the ones we find more difficult to love. And we've already talked about the seeds that are stored in our stored consciousness. So we have the potential to do this, right? It just needs to be watered. That seed needs to be watered in order to manifest as a state of mind. Now, if at this moment we say, to love everybody, to be inclusive, I'm not there yet. That's all right, because we are still practicing. We are going in that direction. Now, to love everyone equally also stems from compassion. So you can ask yourself, or you might ask yourself, how can we be compassionate to somebody who behaves in a way that causes suffering to other people? This other person really treated me badly. When we go to the difficult ones, someone in the family, someone at work, but also if we look around, some world leaders, and there's a long, long list. But I always go back to what Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, an American poet, wrote. And he wrote, if we could read the secret history of our enemies, we would see sorrow and suffering enough to disarm all hostility. So if we try to put ourselves in the skin of that person and try to imagine what was the kind of family this person may have been born into, what was the childhood like, what was the environment when they grew up, what were the people they interacted with, what kind of education did they have? And we know that the environment forms us. So what is this environment they grew up with? Was it an environment that was full of understanding and love? Or was it an environment where there was hatred and violence? Now, if there was hatred and violence, the seed of hatred and violence was watered in them. The seeds of discrimination was watered in them. So no wonder they are the way they are. So if we can really put ourselves in the skin of the other, understand how they came to be as they are, then we can include them in our love because we have compassion. Now, compassion does not mean that we condone the act. What they did is not right, but we can understand what brought them to that point. What kind of mental food did they get? What kind of emotional food, physical food did they get? To what were they exposed? Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese Zen master, says, if we were born where they were born, in the family, in the environment, we would do exactly the same. We would do exactly the same. So in the beginning, I thought, when I read that, I said, no, I won't. And then I thought, but that means I'm not putting myself in the skin of the other person. I haven't looked deeply enough. And then there is compassion and there is pity. So I want to distinguish between these two emotions, feelings. Pity doesn't go anywhere. It just says, oh my God, this poor person is suffering. It separates you from this person. It's somewhere outside of you. But it gets masked as compassion. But compassion motivates us to do something, to act. Maybe that person who does something to cause suffering to others needs our help because there's a lack of understanding. And how do we know that? We know that when we cause suffering to the others, we are doing it to ourselves. If we think causing suffering to somebody else is bringing us happiness, we know it's not. Maybe they don't know. And we need to help them. And then that's our engagement. So with compassion and understanding how things come to be, our love can become inclusive. So it's actually really good to wish for some of the difficult people because they need it. These are the people we need to include in our well-wishing. To wish that they be filled with loving kindness, that they be free from fear and confusion, that they awaken to their connection with all life, that they and all those around them and all they touch be safe and protected. But of course, as I said before, the foundation for that is, can we include ourselves in this love? With all our strengths and weaknesses, can we do that? So, practicing and developing these four immeasurable minds is one of the best ways to take care of ourselves, our loved ones, and all other beings. But having said that, they're not kind of tools that we have like, oh, I think I need loving kindness here, or I think I need compassion, or I think I need joy or inclusiveness. No, not at all. It is developing these aspects of love in ourselves so that we can respond to life from these aspects. To bring these four aspects of love to mind every day, to water the seeds, to remember that we can respond with loving kindness. We can respond with joy to the joy of others. We can respond with compassion to the suffering. And we can respond with inclusiveness to all beings, including our beloved Mother Earth. That's how they become a state of mind. And when we bring them to mind often, the Buddha said, whatever we think about or ponder upon becomes the inclination of our mind, becomes the way we respond to life. So let's just take a moment. We may just like to look, how do we respond to life right now? Is it with fear? Is it with worries? Is it with anger? Is it with love? How do we respond to life? Just to know and say, okay, this is where I stand now. And practicing the four immeasurable minds, I go in the direction of responding to life with true love. Not only to life, but also to individuals, the person who's right next to me, next to us, the person we hope to spend our whole life with. Can we have this mind of love towards them? This true love that is not centered on just ourselves. Instead of our love being like a cage, robbing a loved one of their freedom, our love is wide and embraces all aspects of them. I like to think of my loved ones as a nice breeze. And if I think that I want to catch the breeze and consider it my own, it's like putting the little breeze in a little cage. And what happens when we put it in a little cage? It dies. In fact, I reflected on this. If we love like that, then the things we love in the other person will no longer be there. And we will stop loving them very, very soon. So, these four elements of love, the four immeasurable minds, Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, and Upeksha, can be cultivated every day. And these are four qualities that have no limits, infinite love. And that's why they are called the four immeasurable minds, because karuna, which is compassion, or mudita, which is joy, upeksha, inclusiveness, or maitri, friendliness or loving kindness, can become unlimited. And this is a kind of love you may call love without frontiers. And when we've developed our love to that level, that's when we are called a bodhisattva. We are called a Buddha. And there are Buddhas and bodhisattvas in our midst in the world. Many of you must be aware there's an organization of doctors who serve people everywhere. In Europe, in UK, in North America, in Africa, in Asia, in Australia, everywhere. And they call themselves doctors without borders. Without borders, that's the word. Love without limits, frontiers. And we can develop these four qualities because our heart is able to embrace everyone, every living being. It has no longer any frontier. Our heart becomes immense. And when the love in our heart is like that, we don't suffer anymore. We can accept everything. Lord Buddha gave a very beautiful image. He said, suppose you have a bowl of water and you have a handful of salt and you pour all the salt in that water and you stir. The water becomes undrinkable because it's too salty and you cannot quench your thirst because it's very salty. But suppose that handful of salt you throw into a river, and although the salt is diluted in the water, people continue to drink the water. They don't suffer at all. Why? Because the river is immense. And that is why a handful of salt cannot make the river suffer. And if we were to throw handful after handful 100 times, that's because the river is still immense. The river still doesn't suffer. So the teaching is to enlarge our heart, to make it into something unlimited. And when our heart becomes immense, we can accept everything and everyone. Every situation in our life and every person in our life. The small things like a handful of salt does not make us suffer anymore. But if our heart is small, small things can make us very unhappy. But in the case we have a big heart that can include everyone, every living being, we don't suffer anymore. And that is the quality of equanimity, all embracing. So let's infuse our minds with these four aspects of love so that we can love and be loved and offer true love to ourselves and others. So just before we begin the practice, I want to say that thank you very much for being here, free as the breeze. And happy continuation on your path. And may every step bring you peace and happiness. And remember, smile, breathe when you look deeply, and enjoy every step you take. So let's get into the practice now. So just take your seat and find a way to be settled and at ease. Feet flat on the floor. So you're sitting both at ease and present like the king or queen on the throne. You take your seat halfway between heaven and earth in this human form. And you, like the Buddha that you are now invited to close your eyes and see with the eyes of the interior, the eyes of the heart and consciousness. And as you gently close your eyes, take a couple of deep breaths. And with them, gently exhale any tension, tightness you know. And now bringing a loving awareness, a mindful, loving attention to your own body as you sit here. All that it's been carrying, the tensions and the fight, flight or freeze, because of all the difficulties and struggles in your life and around you, or the joyful things in the body, all of it. As if you could wrap your body in compassion and gratitude for all it carries. And notice how your body responds. Thank you for carrying so much. Thank you. And notice in the same way the state of your heart and mind, and all the emotions and thoughts, everything your heart has been carrying. And wrap your heart with a mindful, loving awareness and some tenderness, compassion for all the feelings and thoughts. Thank you. Thank you for carrying so much, for trying to take care of me. And then with tenderness, say thank you. And then you can say, I'm okay here and now. I'm okay just now. Thank you. And now I'd like you to imagine in any way you can that the place upon which you are seated is on a magic carpet. Whether you're on a chair or a couch or a cushion, that underneath it is a beautiful woven magic carpet that can lift you up into the sky, move you up into the sky, into a place where the sun is shining, even if it's evening where you are. This magic carpet will allow you to be back in the daytime, far above where you live, floating in the cool air, the blue sky. Perhaps down below you have some clouds. and relax in this magic carpet and the vastness of sky. As if in this open, beautiful space, the body and mind also can sense vastness. And now in a minute or two, you will discover that your magic carpet is going to land back on earth. And it's going to land you, and perhaps in a surprising way, to a great healing temple. This is a time in our lives when we and all those around us are looking for healing. Healing from dis-ease, healing from our woundedness, our inner injuries, our pain, our grief, our struggles, separation from ourselves, separation with one another, from one another, and from the earth. So as you start to feel the magic carpet begin to go down, when it does, you will discover yourself coming to a great healing temple. It may be somewhere you've been already, some amazing place that you know, or maybe some place that you've seen or heard of in your imagination, or that you've never been, that will reveal itself. It can be indoors or outdoors. It can be in the canyons, the ocean, the mountains. And now you feel yourself descending, and let yourself be surprised as you land in a magic, remarkable healing temple. And once you find yourself there, visualize, imagine, picture any way you can this place. Take a look around. Notice what you discover. What does it feel like to be there? What's the energy there? What's the air feel like? What's the beauty of the place? Drink it in. And you will find yourself there drawn to a beautiful altar. Now it might be simple, just a stone slab, or it might be something more ornate, a healing altar. And imagine, picture, move yourself over to sit in front of this altar. It is a place of deep healing. And you sit there. And as you sit there, in a moment, there will appear at a distance, coming toward you, an amazing healing being. Some being who carries all that healing energy, body, heart, and mind. Some extraordinary being who tends the healing temple. You turn your head or let yourself picture, imagine, or vision. What is this luminous being look like or feel like? Any way you can sense them. This radiant being, this rainbow being. They come right up to you. Very gently make a bow. A gesture of tenderness and compassion and welcome. And now they reach over to you and say, "Let me teach you about healing." And they place their hands on your body in the places that need most healing, with a loving touch and a powerful healing energy. Feel or imagine their hands on your body. And they invite you to put your hands with theirs, to hold your body as they do, in these places, over their hands. They say, "Let me teach you how to bring healing into your body." Feel the beauty of that energy, the well-being of this tender and strong healing touch. Let your body drink it in. Receive it. Be nourished, inspired. And then they ask you a question which only your body can answer. What does your body need? You can know. And in the same way, they place their hand on your heart with a tender and powerful healing energy. All that your heart and mind is carried. And they teach you the healing touch to the heart. Receive it. Feel it. Imagine it. Let it nourish you. And you place your hand on your heart over theirs. Touch your heart where they've taught you the power of tender healing touch. Let your heart and mind receive this as well. Nourishment, joy, love. Drink it in. And then they whisper to you. Ask your heart what it needs. And so you ask and you listen for a response. You can know. You can hear. You know what your heart needs deeply. And then finally they turn you toward the altar. And they say, there are 2 gifts of medicine waiting for you that have been placed there for you. The first, which is wrapped up as a package, is a clear symbol of what is most important for you to be learning in this time. The lesson you most need to learn. And they place the package in your hand and you unwrap it, this gift. And the clear symbol of the lesson you need to learn at this time. What is it for you? Let yourself see this symbol. And if it's not clear, hold it up to the sunlight. You can know. And trust the symbols are like dream images. It has a message for you. It might be very simple, but it comes from a deep place that says, this is what you need to learn. This is the symbol of your lesson. And then the second gift, the healing being, the luminous being, takes from the altar and places into your hands. And as you open this in a moment, you will see this is a clear symbol of what is asked from you to contribute to the world at this time. A symbol of your contribution to this world, undergoing so much trouble, with so much beauty, so much difficulty. This gift is the clear symbol of what you have to offer. See it, picture it, imagine it, hold it up to the light. You can know. Let yourself have an intuitive sense of what it represents, what it means. And finally, the healing being touches you gently on the shoulder, leans over and whispers in your ear a few words of wisdom from the great healing temple to keep in mind in these days and weeks and months that we travel together through these times. Listen to them, hear them. Imagine them. Think of what they say. You can know. And receive their wisdom. And when you've received it, sit quietly for a moment with your body now filled with loving, healing energy. And know you can always go back to this temple as you found the doorway, the magic carpet to take you there. It waits for you for any day, in any time. Pay your respects to this luminous being, the healer, who's come to you, and to the healing energy of this beautiful temple. And when you're ready, let yourself depart, lifting off as if in a magic carpet again. And gently returning back with your gifts and your understanding, just where you are now. And you may gently open your eyes. Thank you very much for going along on this healing temple meditation.